Okay, folks, bit of an update. So I purchased this 120-litre wheelie bin to do my proposed walk to Broken Hill. And no sooner had I purchased it than I had to rethink the whole thing again. And the reason for that is that when I started to look at the different route options that I had available to me, I realized there's some massive distances when you get into the deep outback that need to be covered with no facilities whatsoever. And I'm talking about from places like Cobar through to Wilcannia. I think there's one roadhouse, probably 180, 190 kilometers from Cobar, which means, you know, you're going to walk for 6, 7, 8 days with nothing. And then at the roadhouse you can replenish water and perhaps some food, but then you need to then cover a similar distance from there to, well, no, you probably got another 100 kilometers to Wilcannia, and then on to Broken Hill from there. But they're big distances with lots of nothing in between. So for that reason, you've got to carry a lot of water and food and all of that. This 120-litre bin is not up for the task. I've calculated that I need to carry at least between 40 and 50 litres of water. And in this bin, this is a 120-litre bin. 40 or 50 litres will take up 1/3 of the bin space, leaving me with, you know, perhaps, I don't know, enough barely to put everything else in. I'm not willing to risk that. The other factor that I needed to consider is just the height of this bin relative to my own height. And the fact that when you walk with these bins, you need to tilt them toward you. And the minute you do that, this handle drops to a lower position. And because of that, I would be walking almost in a continual stoop. So I was playing with an idea to put a sort of a raised handle arrangement on here to address that, no problem. But the water issue kind of prevailed. So I've abandoned this bin. It's no longer going to be suitable for the job. And I've now gone and purchased the 240-litre Big Daddy bin, twice the capacity of that one. Obviously larger, heavier, and look, you know, but what it does give me is when I put 50 litres of water in the bottom, I've still got 190 litres of space inside, internal space in the bin to put my tent and all of that kind of stuff. So it's entirely more doable with this arrangement, apart from the fact that it's bigger and heavier. And obviously when you put more stuff in, you're going to put more weight in, and that's more weight to push around or pull around. So yeah, jury's out whether this is the best option, but I'm going to go with this. I'm committed to the bigger bin. It's also a more legitimate bin to use for a wheelie bin walk, if I were to be totally honest about it. So that's the arrangement. What you can see around the bottom is I've made a angle iron frame, and I've changed the wheels. These are larger diameter pneumatic wheels that I've put on the bin. They've also tracked slightly wider than the original wheelbase that was on the bin. Not a lot, but just enough to do the job. And so what I then need to do because this is going to be quite heavy, and the other thing with this bin, of course, is it's much higher. So when I tilt it toward me to push it, it's at a comfortable height. I don't need to stoop forward. So in that regard, although it's going to be heavier, in terms of posture and position, it's going to be a much better situation for me, I think. I'm not going to end up with backache because I'm walking with a bad posture. I already have a bad posture. I don't need to exacerbate that. So that's the story with the bin. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to show you what I've done with regards to fitting this, the wheels on it. But before I do that, I'm just going to talk through what I'm going to do out the front. So out the front, in the center out the front there, I'm going to have a third wheel arrangement, which is a self-steering wheel that will just follow the direction that I'm pushing the bin in, but will bear the load because the bins, the way they are the way they're designed is they are very much weight forward. And anyone that's pushed a wheelie bin around will know that. So the weight tends to push down in the front forward. Now, that's a good thing, but I don't want to be continually pulling back and holding the weight of the bin in some position just to get this thing moving. So with the wheel going out the front, this is going to sit in a tricycle arrangement that then it will track flat on the road and all the weight will be through the wheels, and all I will be doing is pushing the weight in one direction or pulling it in another direction, whatever my choice is. I'll get onto the push and pull scenario, because once I put a wheel out the front, what it then enables me to do is to walk facing away from the bin and pull it in that direction, and the wheel will then follow behind the bin. So that's the general idea, and I'll just now show you how the wheel will operate and what wheel I've chosen for the job. Okay, so this is the wheel arrangement that the wheel that I've purchased for this job. And it's not going to look like this, what I'm showing you right now. It's going to have a different configuration, and I'll explain why. But that's basically it. And what this wheel does is, it doesn't matter when I'm pushing, it goes into that orientation, and when I pull, it'll swivel around and go into that orientation. So it'll be doing that, and it'll just follow the direction that I pull or push the bin. Now, what I'm going to need to do, so this fitment will all be very different and more robust than what I've got now. I'm just prototyping ideas. But out the corner of this base here that I've built, I will have some angle iron that I'll weld up and brace across the front, and this will go into a higher position so that this plate that the wheel will mount onto is basically in a level orientation. Then the wheel will track properly. All right, so this is the frame. It's just angle iron that I've welded together to form this frame. And because I changed the wheels, the original axle for the solid wheels that these bins come with is a wider diameter than the wheel axle that I'm using right now. And this axle was a bit small for these holes where the original axle goes through. So I needed to put some collars, and those are just PVC piping collars that I've made just to go in there and stop this wheel from rattling around too much in that space. And then you'll see I've got aluminium tubing spacers that I've put there to stop lateral movement like that. And then I've braced the wheel to the frame, to this lower frame, around the axle itself, so that there's no movement that way. So that's the arrangement. And now it's just a matter of, a couple of things. I have purchased some plastic water bags, collapsible water bags, let's put it that way. And it comes in a set of 6, 4 10-litre bags and 2 5-litre bags. That gives me 50 litres of water, which is what I would need in sort of the worst case scenario. And it's better to have separate bags. One, it's easier to get them out the bin because they will be at the bottom of the bin. And two, if one gets a leak or is ruptured, I don't lose all my water if it's all one container of water. So there's a bit of a safety factor in that. So I've ordered those should be arriving today. The other thing that I've ordered and should be arriving today is a pop-up tent. Now, forget the brand of the tent, but I'll go on to the equipment that I'm going to be taking with shortly. But it's a pop-up tent, and it's one of these instant up tents. You don't need to put a stake in the ground unless there's a hell of a wind blowing. You just pull it at the center and the top, and it pops up. And the jury's out on whether this is going to be robust enough, but I've bought it. It should be arriving today or tomorrow, and I'll demonstrate it and let you guys see it. So this is the camping gear that I'll be taking along, with the exception of this. This is the Nature Hike tent that I took with me on my Postie bike ride. And it's a great tent. There's nothing wrong with it. It's lightweight, it's strong, it's waterproof, it's everything you need. The only thing for me that's challenging is being an old geezer that doesn't bend so well, creaky knees and all that. It's so low to get into. Unless for young guys, it's perfect. So I want something a little easier to deal with on a day-to-day basis, because I'm going to be doing a lot of camping. So that's not going to come with me. That's going to be replaced by this pop-up tent. These items will be coming along with me. So from the right there, that's a Helinox camp bed or stretcher. They're fantastic. They are very lightweight for what you get, and just make a night on the ground a lot more comfortable. That's going to be supplemented with that inflatable sleeping pad. That's a Hike Nature sleeping pad. I've used it a couple of times. It's great. And that will go on the stretcher, so really comfortable night's sleep, which will be important to me when I do this. In this bag here, that black bag, is a small camp table, aluminium. It's really lightweight. The only thing that's costing is space. This is a winter, well, for Australia, that's a winter sleeping bag in there. It's I forget the brand. It's a really nice brand. I've used it on a number of occasions. See if I can see the brand quickly. Not really. Anyway, here we go. Mont. That's the name. There you go. And yeah, look, so that'll do the job for me in terms of warmth and comfort at night. And that bag is there's my cooking pot, my stove, little gas cylinder. I'll take obviously extra gas cylinders along. my eating utensils, and there's one of these gomboy hand saws if I need to cut some firewood or something like that. And in that bag, the last one, is a Trekology fold-out chair. Helinox make the same version of that. This is a slightly cheaper version. I've used it often, and it's spot on. There's nothing wrong with that. You probably pay half what you'd pay for the Helinox chair, and quality-wise, I don't think there's much of a difference. So those will be coming along with me, plus the new tent. That's the camping equipment that I'll be taking. What else goes in the bin is obviously my clothing. That'll be lightweight clothing. In the main, it's going to, I'll take two pairs of walking shoes, socks obviously, mainly short pants. I might take a couple of long legging pants just in case it's really cold, and then I've had some t-shirts printed up for the walk, so t-shirt with probably a puffer jacket, some rain gear, headgear. I need to think about warmth and sun, just keeping the sun off me, and flies off me. So I've got one of those hats with a mesh cover if I need to pull that down for flies. So that's clothing, and then food. Well, that'll depend on where I'm at and how far I've got to travel, but a lot of it will probably be dehydrated stuff that I can just rehydrate in a pot, pastas and you name it, that kind of stuff, supplemented with some tinned food. And then the final thing is I need to take battery packs, and I've got some power supplies. I've got a 40,000 milliamp hour power supply. I've just ordered another 60,000 milliamp hour power supply, again for those stretches where I'm in between places where I can take a cabin or a hotel room, motel room, and charge these things. I've also purchased a solar charger, 28 watt solar charger, which in desperate times, desperate measures, I don't think it's going to do nearly come close to doing the job it needs to do, but it will at least give me something. What it says here, instant camping tents are the next generation of camping tents, engineered to make your life easier. Well, I hope so. It takes only seconds to set up or take down, a hassle-free experience, so you can focus on the fun part of your camping trip, making memories. So set up and down in seconds. One person setup, easy to set up and take down, comes in one piece, ready to use out of the bag, easy fit into the bag. More time to, okay, blah blah blah. Conventional tents get lots of X's, and this gets lots of ticks. Alright, so that's the box, and I'll now remove it from the box and we'll see in addition to the tent, you also get a ground sheet. So that's basically the setup, is to have it set up like that. It is over the ground sheet now, and the takedown I'll get to do separately. I'm not too concerned with the takedown so much, but The setup is really, really easy. This is just dead simple. So way to go, Reactive Outdoor on this. It's a win. Of course, it all depends on how waterproof it is, if it's bucketing down with rain, but I'm sure they've cracked that nut too. So that's the deal. So this tent's going to come with me. I'm going to be doing a recce drive from Bondi to Broken Hill in the next days. The purpose of that is I need to go and look at there's different route options that I could be taking when I'm walking. However, those are dependent on a few things. Primarily distance, of course. I'll try and take the shorter route wherever I can. But importantly as well, it's the terrain. What are the hills like? What's the road surfaces like, etc. What are the shoulders of the road like? Because I'm going to spend a bit of time pushing the wheelie bin on the shoulder of the road. And then the other component is, what is the distance between towns along the way for me to be able to, one, take a rest day or so and download video material and get it uploaded onto my YouTube channel, and to get laundry done, to replenish water and food and all that kind of stuff. So I also need to see where there may be suitable places for me to mark as potential camping stops along the way. So that's basically what the recce is about. And for that, I'm going to be taking this tent. So I'll be doing a test drive of the tent. And all my camping gear that will go in the wheelie bin, that will all come along with me on this trip, and I'll test these things out. I've also very generously been sponsored, or let's just say supported, by an outfit called On Track Meals, and they're affiliated, or they are part of an outfit called On Track Expeditions that do expedition trails along the Kokoda track in Papua New Guinea. And they've developed meals that are basically full cooked meals that are in a bag, and that you then just boil in a bag, inside the bag, in your pot, and there you have a hot meal ready. And you supplement that with some or other carbs, some pasta or some rice or something like that, and you've got a full cooked meal. So I've ordered a couple of those, and I'm going to be trialing those along the way as well. And I'm really grateful to this outfit. They got onto this straight away. All I did was I just made an inquiry about the meals, let them know what I was proposing or I intend doing, and inquired about the meals more in terms of what the calorie count is, how many calories I would get out of a meal, and what the nutritional value is, because I need to be mindful of how many calories I'm going to be burning pushing the bin, and also what the nutrition is, because I'm an old geezer, so I need to be healthy along the way as well. So they very kindly have come to the party, given me a massive discount. So basically I'm getting these meals at cost price, and free of postage as well. So that's a really good deal, and thank you to Rich and the team at On Track Meals. That's just fantastic. So that's it, folks. I will obviously update you all as I go along on this recce expedition as well, and let you know what I uncover along the way. But in the meantime, I'll leave it at this and catch up with you later. So, I don't know what time it is, probably 5:30 in the morning, perhaps. And I'm doing the first practice walk with a wheelie bin. And I've done about 3.5 kilometers now. This first walk is really, I'm doing quite a flat walk for obvious reasons, and it's quite a light load. I've got about maybe 15 kilos of stuff in the bin. I've got 10 liters of water and the tent and little bits of odds and ends. So the bin rolls nicely, I must say. I might need to make a couple of adaptations to stop it on relatively benign surfaces, trying to slew off left and right as a slight canter on the road dictates. So I need to think of what my grip's like, because that might become quite stressful after a while. So I've got to think about that. Other than that, it rolls very nicely, yeah, look, when you hit a bit of a slope, it's a bit of work, but I'm able to maintain a reasonable pace, which is about, I don't know, between 10 and 10.5 minutes per kilometer on the flat, and that's adequate for me. Okay, so this is the arrangement that I have now with the wheelie bin, where I've extended the grip, the handle, from this position out on either side. Now, I managed to find a unused grip for my Postie bike throttle that I put on this side, but I didn't have another one for this side because it needs the throttle side grip to be wide enough to fit on there. So in the meantime, I've wrapped some sort of tennis handle grip tape around that one, and it's comfortable enough, but I will get another grip, throttle grip for this side. It's quite a nice feel to walk with that. It's a familiar feel for me, and look, it even turns. So yeah, so that's the arrangement, and it's a much more natural sort of width for me to grab, rather than coming in to grab these the manufactured grips or the design grips handles, and because then it kind of forces my elbows into my sides a bit more, whereas this, my arms float a bit freer to my side as I walk. So it's a much better solution for me, that I'm really happy with it. I turned the bin over yesterday and I gave everything a check to make sure that it was all still sound. It's all working perfectly. I got my headlight on the front there for when I'm pushing on the roads out to in the dark, and that works pretty well there. I do think it presents some issues to walkers that are approaching me, oncoming walkers. It blinds them a bit, but you know what? It's a small price they have to pay. Small price they must pay for my training. Anyway, today I did 18.5 kilometers, and I picked up a bit of a niggle, a bit of a shin splint kind of niggle, I think. So I booked myself into the physio for Monday, and we'll see what the outcome of all that is. All right, I'm not going to show you too much of my messy workshop and garage. My Postie bike's tucked away over there. and my trusty Hemi is standing proud in the prime parking spot. Till later, everybody. So, not sure what time it is. Let me have a quick look. 6 a.m. It's just 6 a.m. It's getting light now, and we've done 7.5 kilometers. I'm in Centennial Park, one of the big parks in Sydney, popular with cyclists and walkers and runners and you name it. So I've rigged some sort of new handle arrangement on this bin, which is a bit wider than what the bin is designed with. So it's made a big difference just to sort of the position of my arms and the way they sort of naturally sort of push up against the bin. So that's a good thing. Today I'm probably going to do 7.5, so probably 15 or 16 kilometers. I might stop for a coffee somewhere on the way back home, see how I feel. But yeah, it's going well. I stopped by some runners a bit earlier. They came running past me and said, "What are you doing pushing a bin with a GoPro camera on?" So I had to explain that to them. And of course the first question out of their mouths was why, and not a good answer for that. Of course I do tell them about the charity, about the fundraiser for Medicine Sans Frontières, which is a big part of what I do with these efforts. But it does take a certain nutcase, I reckon, to want to take on this type of challenge. Same with a Postie bike ride. It's not up everyone's street, so it does puzzle people when they see that, or they encounter me, or they hear about it. Why would someone want to do something like this? And well, to be honest, I'm not so sure I've got all the answers to that myself. But it is an exciting prospect for me, I've got to say that, to take on this kind of a challenge. And like I've said on a few occasions, it's one of those challenges where the issue at stake is whether or not my body's going to hold up to it. I think everything else will be fine. But you've got to say, this is a 68-year-old body and my body that's had enough knee issues and you name it. Is it up to it? My back is always problematic. But if I don't do it now, I will never ever do it. So that's my take on that. Is when you see these opportunities, you just got to go with it. And and go with it with everything, because yeah, you just don't know what's around the corner. And I'd hate to live with regrets, you know, to say, oh, I could have done that then, you know, I should have given it a go, and now there's, you know, all these other things that have got in the way and I'm not able to anymore, and I didn't even give it a go. So I have to give it a go. That's my wiring. And yeah, you call it a bit of insanity, call it whatever you want. You know, that's the way I roll. He says, pushing a wheelie bin. Oh, it's a nice morning out here. I got to say that. It's quite nice being out here with, you know, all the runners on the path and jogging by and all that kind of stuff. Hundreds of cyclists use the park and come belting around on the cycleway to the left of me. And yeah, so it's, you know, it's got a nice feel to it, I've got to say. The whole scene here at Centennial Park this time of the day. And you know, they got one crazy pushing a wheelie bin along. and only one group was brave enough to stop and speak to the idiot and the lunatic pushing it and say, what's going on? What would you be doing this for? So, yeah. So just gone on 8 kilometers. My Strava app has just told me, so yeah, 8 kilometers from here, it's probably a little over halfway. I'm expecting to do 15 k's. Let's see whether I'm right on that or not. Till later.